We're going to call the order. First off with a roll call, starting with Scott.
Here.
And Karen Brigger is here. Let's see. I guess I should do it the other way. Dave Ruth, I'll go through here. You're here.
Cool.
Brigger, Ganderberg, Bolger, Mello.
Yep.
I haven't seen Sue. Sue's here. Peter's here. Wow. Gail Mills. Lauren Charette.
Here.
And Lorraine Erlin is
Here.
here. Bruce Patrick is not. Carol Lord is here. Brian I saw. And Debbie I saw. Cool.
Wow, full house, huh?
Before we get started, three quick things. I'm saddened to hear that, just so all of you know that might not, that Tina has resigned from the school board over in Stratford. I'm going to miss her. She had a lot of good ideas. So she is no longer on the school board. At our last meeting, we talked about food service, and a lot of you didn't make it. In fact, we didn't have a quorum. We went ahead and had the meeting probably illegally a little bit. I decided to go ahead and have the meeting as a work session, but I would appreciate it if you could just let us know if you're not coming. A day or two in advance if you can. If you can't, I know there's always emergencies and everything else happening, but it just will help us in planning the meetings and stuff like that. The last thing, just if I leave in a hurry, I have a brother-in-law who lives with my wife and I for the last 20 years in the hospital, and he's not doing real well tonight. So if I have to leave, I will leave, and in that case, Sue will have to continue for me. But anyway, with that being said, we have New Hampshire School School Care in, and we're going to start with that. You guys ready?
We are very much ready. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening. Stand over here, I think, so the camera, so I apologize if some of you have to turn your head towards us a little bit. Good evening, my name is Lisa Dupette, and I'm the Executive Director for the New Hampshire School Health Care Coalition. We offer the school care health benefit plans, and I have my colleague with me, and I'm going to let Jeff introduce himself.
I'm Jeff Kanarowski. I'm the coordinator of benefit programs at NEA New Hampshire and School Care. I'm also a resident of Northwood.
So one of the things that you're going to hear is the collaboration that School Care has always brought to the program since its inception. In fact, prior to inception, it was Superintendent's Association, business officials, NEA New Hampshire coming together to look at healthcare plans in the marketplace, because they really felt that, believe it or not, nearly 20 years ago, we were in much the same situation we are in today. Rising healthcare costs, and now they've risen for more than a decade, on average 10+%. But it's really a bargaining issue. Most of the time, just like it was almost 20 years ago, healthcare was one of the major issues at the bargaining table. And so it's great to be here with you tonight. One of the things that you'll hear, and we encourage you throughout the process, is just to begin to talk, if you haven't already, with your labor unions, with your employees, about what are some win-win solutions around healthcare. Okay? But with that, I know that we have about 30 minutes this evening, and what we want to do is highlight for you some of the unique features of school care and our philosophy. So in front of you, you have two pieces of material. One is the presentation that I'll be speaking from, and the other is a packet of materials, and you may periodically refer to materials that are in the folder for you to look at a later time. So first I mentioned that School Care was formed in the mid-90s. Actually, we incorporated in 1995 and had our first membership in March of 1996. We are a public entity risk pool, so we're a quasi-government entity. We're formed under New Hampshire statute RSA 5B. So we're one of 4 pooled risk management programs in the state. Okay. We serve a wide variety. Although our name says school care, we have schools in our program as well as municipalities, cities, towns. We previously have had counties in the program, but today we don't have any counties participating. Okay? We can serve all of those type of political subdivisions only within the state of New Hampshire. Our primary office is in Manchester, and so that's the office that I work out of down on Harvey Road right by the airport. And Jeff, because of our close connection with NEA New Hampshire, Jeff works out of NEA Concord office. Okay, so we have a presence both in Manchester and in Concord. You can see our mission statement at the end of that slide 2. So the first unique partnership is how our program is governed. Okay, we have a membership council. So we have approximately 80 schools and municipalities participating in our program today, and each one of those entities elects both one labor representative and one management representative. And those are our conduits for communications, but those are also the folks that meet once a year. They set the benefits for our programs, and they also elect 8 of our 10 board members. Okay, so again, at the table, 50-50. Moving up from membership council in our governance structure, we have our board of directors. It is a 10-member board of directors. It's an even number, which is kind of unusual, but based on our founding principles, we believe that it should be equal labor and management. And so we have 5 labor, 5 management. We have school superintendents, business administrators, HR directors, guidance counselors, teachers, school nurses. Those are the types of folks that serve on our board of directors. Okay? And they are responsible for all of the policy type decisions, the things that you folks are responsible as school board members. So that's just a little bit of the background. Anyone have any questions about school care as an entity or how we operate? Okay.
Who makes up the other 2 board members?
We have 2 appointed board members, and historically, although it's not written in stone in the forming documents, one is historically the president of NEA New Hampshire. So today, Scott McGilvery serves on the board, as well as we work with the School Boards Association to find another appointee to our board. And so I work with Ted Comstock closely to find that position, and actually he's looking right now to help us fill a vacancy that we have. Any other questions? Our benefits are administered by Cigna. We have had a long-term partnership with Cigna. We find many valuable pieces to this relationship. One unique feature is that Cigna is a national organization that doesn't have any state boundaries, meaning that our participants in our program have access to Cigna contracted providers throughout 50 states. And there is never any barriers to seeing, for example, a doctor at Sloan Kettering in New York City, a doctor in Minneapolis, if that's where the best doctor is to serve you, one in Texas. As long as they're in the Cigna network and there's hundreds of thousands of primary care and specialty care physicians, our participants have full access. No referrals by their primary care, nothing that gets in the way of going to see those doctors. So our members really enjoy that. It's great for early retirees, and it's really great for those of us who have college-age children who go out of state. Okay? They don't have to get all of their primary care back here in New Hampshire. Cigna was also the first provider that has live customer service 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days of the year. So if for some reason on New Year's Eve you're thinking about something and you want to get a claim question answered, or you're wondering about a payment on a claim, you can call and speak with a real person and get your questions answered. One of the other neat features of Cigna is that they offer both medical and dental plans. And for our program, we have an integrated medical, pharmacy, and dental program. We have one ID card, and all of your benefits are integrated. And for those of you who have any knowledge about healthcare, one of the things that you will know is medical health can impede your dental health, and vice versa. They very much go hand in hand. So when you have a carrier that has all of the medical information, they can assist you and we can provide some additional benefits. For example, if someone had medical care with us and dental care with us and was going through some sort of radiation of the head area, that can really do a number on your teeth. So there's a program through ours, when you have both of those coverage, that you can actually get sealants as an adult to protect your teeth. But it's those types of things that are really nice about having that integration. And of course, what's very important to us, and I think those who have the Cigna Healthcare, is their NCQA accreditation, which is the highest level, which is excellent, and they have maintained that. On slide 5, I'm not going to read through them, but these are some of the accolades that Cigna has achieved in the last couple of years, and so you can see their focus on the customer and innovation are extremely important to them. Any questions about Cigna as our partner? Okay. A little bit more about school care. Why school care? One of the pieces that we pride ourselves on is our very low administrative costs. And on slide 6, you see a chart in which we took our school care member premium dollars from our most recent fiscal year that ended June 30, 2013. And we took all the premium dollars for health care that we collected from our member entities, which was about $130 million. And we're showing you how that money is being spent. The lion's share of the money, over 92%, on claims. You want that to be on claims. Now, from a federal and national level, does anyone know what the government dictates to insurance companies that they need to spend a minimum of, or else they have to send a refund to their participants? 85%. Okay? Our threshold is much higher internally. We want to spend 92 to 94% of our dollars on healthcare. Okay? Not on overhead costs, not on administration, not on other things like that. Now the next piece is that we do have to pay Cigna an administrative fee. Our program takes all of the risk. Okay, we just pay Cigna a flat fee per month for their network to adjudicate or process claims for us for some disease management programs, employee assistance programs, but that's just under 4% of the claims dollars. We actually pay them. So when they process and make payments to providers, they come right out of school care's bank account, out of the money that we've collected from our members and from the employees that have paid for their health care. The next piece is stop loss. Because we do pay our own claims, we have to have a threshold where we can go to another insurer in case there's those large claims, and they do come. The $1 million plus claims are definitely out there. We know that. When you cover about 25,000 lives in a program, you will have those nearly every year statistically. So about 1.2% of the premiums we collect are used to buy reinsurance or stop-loss insurance. And we take a pretty high threshold. We, as school care as an entity, we take the first $500,000 of every claim. So it's a pretty high threshold. Operating costs, that's what does it cost for our office in Manchester, our consultants in Boston, etc. 1.3% of the claims dollars. Very, very low. Okay? And then wellness. We have a very robust wellness program. We probably won't hit too much of the details tonight because we just want to give you a little bit of a flavor. But you will find that our wellness program has very significant benefits for the participants. And we pay out about 1.6% of the premiums we've collected in back out to those participants for their wellness programs. Okay? And of course, what's really important is, well, what is your track record? What do your increases look like? One of the things that school care has prided itself on for many years is the stability that we've had in our rates. So twofold stability, that's the first piece of it. The second piece of it is that we come out with guaranteed final rates. By contract, they have to be out by December 1st. Our promise to our members every year is we'll get them out as soon as the annual meeting is over and we can get the final touches on them. So we've been holding our annual meeting the first week of November. Usually by the 12th to the 15th of November, final rates are out. So some of you may be familiar with other programs in which you get rates for budget purposes in the fall, and then you might get final rates in the spring. Our program, its final fixed rates in the fall, it does not change. And so one of the nice pieces of that for school boards is certainly that as you're planning and you're looking to go to your hearings in the spring or voter approval of budgets in February or March, that you've got a final number. You've got a real number that's not going to change. On the other side of things, if you're in negotiations with any unions, and this goes back to the balancing piece, is that no one thinks anyone's keeping any money to themselves. There's not any money being left on the table. You know what it is up front. You're all in this on the same page in that regard. So it's kind of a neat feature. And then as you look down, I've got the last 6 years worth of rate history. Honestly, it's hard to fit any more than 6 years, but very similar the 5 years before that. You'll see medical trend. So what is sort of the average rate increase for a plan like ours in New Hampshire? And that what was the school care average increase? And what's really neat about that is when you even dig a little deeper, there are no groups that have had a double-digit rate increase. So there's no groups that have had over a 7% increase in the last 10 years in our program. So that's pretty exciting to us. I do want to share with you, if you look at 14, 15 and you're saying, geez, what is that negative? Is that really a negative that's in there? It is. As you may know, just from the headlines reading the paper, we are now in a very highly regulated environment. We're regulated by the Secretary of State, Bureau of Securities, and we've had a process in which our program has maintained surplus and returned it over approximately a 3-year period, 2 to 3 years, that stabilized rates. We call what's called rate stabilization. And now we've been returning this money at a more rapid pace. And so that's what created the negative 6.5% increase that our existing members will experience this year. And we're certainly hoping that we can continue those low rate increases, although we don't have the surplus at the degree that we had previously. Okay.
Just to clarify that, that's for your existing plans. If a new plan coming on board wouldn't take advantage of that.
Not until they participated in the program, their second year they would be eligible to participate in any surplus. First year, you would get your rate guarantee. Second year, you'd be informed if you had any ability to share in the surplus. Great question. Any other questions?
If we were to make the decision to move forward with school care, what's the timeline look like to get those rates for?
If you're looking for firm fixed rates for July 2015,
Yep.
We would be looking for you to provide us with your current census and claims data by October 15th. And our guarantee out to you would be just like our existing members. You would get rates by December 1st, but our goal would be to get them to you by November 15th, just like our existing members, firm, final, and fixed. So we essentially would have 30 days to have that go by our underwriters and our consultants.
Would we get budgetary rates in advance of that?
You could, it's possible. It's not an unusual request. What we could do is if you wanted to get what we call, I'm forgetting the word. Thank you, illustrative rates. What those would essentially be is you could give us current data now. So what is your current census and your most recent claims experience for the last 2 years? And then what we would do is we would say, if you were in our program today, these would be the rates you'd be paying for fiscal year 14-15. Okay? And that would give you a little bit of a benchmark to know whether you felt that it would be worthwhile to go further to get a final quote. Any other questions before I turn it over to Jeff, who's going to talk a little bit about the plans and the options that we have? Okay. It's yours, Jeff.
Okay. So first of all, I just wanted to thank you for inviting us out and explain a little bit more about my role at NEA and school care. As Lisa said, you know, there's been this long-standing partnership. Some of the roles that I play are to work closely with your labor folks, and I will go out and do education programs for them, explain the benefits to them so they understand how they work, how they operate, what's, involved with them, so they have a, good understanding of their benefits. I work closely with Lisa and the leadership team, on kind of strategic planning, just in terms of long-term planning for the organization, how we do things. We just completed a very busy open enrollment season, and I was out on the road meeting with groups and explaining the benefits and so forth with other school care employees. And then another role that I play, a very vital role, I think, is to be kind of a patient advocate. I specialize now in assisting employees who have issues maybe with a claim that got denied or an authorization for a procedure or something, and they're trying to work with Cigna or carrier, and maybe they're getting frustrated. They can turn to me, and then I work on their behalf to resolve the issue. And I do that for anybody that happens to be on the insurance, whether it's a spouse, whether it's an employee, whether they're labor management, it doesn't matter. If they're having an issue, if they're in cancer treatment and they need to see a specialist who's out of network, I can work with them and help them with that. So I act as an advocate for your employees to resolve any issues they may have.
Navigating a healthcare system is never easy, and so that's a really important role that we think that Jeff plays when you're dealing with people's livelihood. Their health is really their livelihood, and there can be a lot of red tape. And our job is to cut through that.
Jeff, how many people do you represent that you actually cover?
School care has about 25,000
So are
members.
you yourself taking care of 25,000 people?
Yes.
When they have issues?
Yes. And
Because there's depth. So
Okay.
Jeff is primary, and then there's someone named Joanne and Jana, and they both are on the road as well as in the office, and they would back him up. So they're really like an account executive, each of them, and they have service areas. And then certainly myself gets involved, and then I also have a program manager. But Jeff is primary to that role. We have weekly meetings, et cetera, work on service issues.
And then I rely on senior level customer service associates at Cigna, that I am in daily contact with and monitoring, if it's a claim issue or something like that. I work very closely with the Cigna team, so I'm not, doing it single-handedly by any means. Okay. So a little bit about the plans. Another way that school care helps to keep administrative costs down is to not offer a big menu option of different plans. We have 4 standard plans to choose from. There can be some variations of those plans, but by and large, these are the 4 standard plans that are offered. Again, they sit on Cigna's national platform of providers, the provider network, so your employees can access care anywhere in the country. The HMO plan, it would be comparable to your Matthew Thornton plan that you're probably offering today. It's an HMO with an office visit copay. It's a network benefit only, but again, that network is a national network. No referrals necessary, no PCP required, so they can access care anywhere on their own. A point of service plan is a little higher cost plan. It's basically the same plan as the HMO, but it does allow participants to go out of the Cigna network. They'll pay a deductible, some co-insurance to see someone that's not in the Cigna network, but they do have that ability to go out of the Cigna network. And in our region, the Cigna network is about 96-97% of providers are in the Cigna network. It's all the hospitals in New Hampshire, all the hospitals in Maine, all the Boston hospitals, and again, it expands nationally, and that's generally around 95-96% of providers nationally are contracted with Cigna. So very easy for people to be in network. 2 other plans that school care offers that are lower cost from the HMO, the Open Access Plus plan is a small, low deductible health plan. It's very similar to the HMO, covers the same benefits, et cetera, as the HMO, but employees will pay a small deductible of $250 when they seek medical care because they're ill or they're sick.
That's individual, $250 individual?
Correct, and that caps at $1,000 per individual. The family deductible is $500, and that caps at $2,000. Yep. Yeah, we do have the plan summaries in your packet, just in the interest of time, I won't walk you through all the details.
Right, and I just wanted to mention, those are the standard plans. Jeff mentioned before that we have some variations. So for example, $10 is our standard office visit copay on an HMO and a point of service plan. If a group wanted a $20 office visit copay, we do offer that. Prescription drug copays, we have options on those. It's just the standard we've provided. And then typically groups ask us to try to match as closely to what their existing benefits are.
All preventive care, your wellness screenings and everything are covered at no cost, and that's true on all of our plans. So even if there's a small deductible or a high deductible, when you go for your wellness, your annual physical screenings, things like that, there's no cost for that.
I guess I'm just not seeing on these benefits here, the cost per person.
Right, we would, as Lisa said, we need to get a quote, so you need a census and claims data.
You don't have a range?
No, because of the size of the group, so we have standard rates for groups with under 50 employees. Typically, a group like yours often looks to be combined together because it's usually advantageous to combine a larger amount of risk. You can get better purchasing. And so in that case, we need claims and census data in order to provide quote information. It isn't something that's not just available.
Pretty standard, to get rate information is pretty standard, not to provide census data.
So we have to everyone we're interested in before we can figure it out.
I'd be suspect of somebody that was gonna give you rate information without having seen claims data. Unless it's a plan like an under 50 where it's standard because they're pulling you with other people.
How about this question? What schools in the area are you insuring?
We currently have all of SAU43, so that's Deerfield, Deerfield, Allenstown, Pembroke, Chichester. We've got Dover School District, Concord School District.
The SAU53, you said?
Mhm.
Okay, what are the, I know we can't hold you to this, I just want to have an idea, what are the costs for their plans?
I'm happy to provide you with plan information, cost information. All of that's actually available. Bob would have access to all of that through NHSAA. They have to do, NEA does a study that gets shared with NHSAA, and all of that information will be available. Who has what carrier and what the costs are. So it's all public information, but honestly, your neighbors have very little correlation to what your rates are.
Based on past history of use of
Correct.
insurance?
Correct. So I can tell you right off the bat, I know SAU 53, there's two legacy groups, a Pembroke teacher group